Thank you, Andrew. It's great to be back. It is a particular honor for me to introduce our two speakers this afternoon, because not too long ago, as a conservative at the University of Virginia, I found great role models and inspiration out of both Kate Obershain and Governor Sarah Palin. So it's really a delight to have these two defenders of freedom with us today. I'd like to first introduce our moderator of today's discussion, Kate Obershain. Kate has dedicated her life to fearless conservative activism, beginning as a Young America's Foundation activist at the University of Virginia. She has served in various leadership roles with the foundation since that time and is now one of our most popular speakers to go out onto campuses and challenge the liberal agenda being taught to our students. A proud Virginian, Kate has been active in Virginia politics for many years, serving as an advisor to Governor George Allen and later as the first woman chairman of the Virginia GOP. And Kate is a sought-after voice and a regular on news outlets such as Fox News and CNBC. She's a conservative and other conservative radio shows. In 2012, Kate authored Divider-in-Chief, The Fraud of Hope and Change, a book lauded and praised by many conservative leaders. Surpassing all of her career accomplishments, Kate is the proud mother of 4 beautiful children who motivate her work to promote and protect freedom and liberty for future generations. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about Governor Sarah Palin. For many of us, Governor Palin became a household name in 2008 when she was the Republican Party nominee for vice president alongside Senator John McCain. Governor Palin, a devout Christian, faithful wife and mother of 5, and committed conservative, enlivened the campaign and excited the American people. Her common sense conservatism, principled leadership, and bold defense of founding principles made her a favorite for Americans across the country. Governor Palin is a proud Alaskan, and prior to her candidacy, she had a full career serving the people of Alaska. She was elected to the Wasilla City Council and later became mayor of Wasilla, and was the chairman of the Alaska Oil and Gas Conservation Commission in 2006, she became the youngest and first woman to be elected as the governor of Alaska. During that time, she championed the Alaskan people, shrinking the size of government and helping to empower individuals. She took on the Republican establishment, making her a popular governor and even called by some the most popular governor in America. Following the 2008 election, Governor Palin took to the road and became a sought-after commentator and voice for conservatives. She formed Sarah PAC and traveled the country campaigning on behalf of candidates who stood for the right things and promoted limited government, individual freedom, energy independence, strong national defense, and traditional values. She hosted a great show on TLC called Sarah Palin's Alaska, introducing the lower 48 to the wonders of her beloved home state. In 2009, Governor Palin authored Going Rogue, An American Life, a memoir of her private and political life, which became an immediate bestseller. And in 2010, she released her next book, America by Heart, containing excerpts from her favorite speeches, sermons, and literature. Today, we are excited for her to share with us about her newest book, Sweet Freedom, a devotional, which is a collection of meditations based on biblical verses and which provides inspiration and encouragement. Governor Palin is an accomplished and admirable leader, but more importantly, she is blessed with a beautiful family, including her husband, Todd, the former first dude of Alaska, her 5 children, and sweet grandson. We are so honored to have Governor Palin back at the Reagan Ranch Center. Please join me in welcoming her.
Hello. Well, this is such a thrill. A lot of you were here in 2011 when Governor Palin came and helped us with that incredible celebration of President Ronald Reagan's 100th birthday. That was such a highlight. It was a highlight for all of us here at Young America's Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just know that Ronald Reagan himself, who his faith was so deep and it was such a huge part of who he was and what he accomplished, he would be thrilled to know that you're kicking off the Sweet Freedom Tour and you're here to share with us this incredible book. Now, so many people, when they look at you from afar, they think of your great strength. It just shines through. And I think you never back down, no matter what. And it's almost like the Marines, you run towards the fire, you run towards the danger. That's what this woman does, right? Just abiding courage. And I was hoping that in this book you would talk about where that strength, peace, and radiant joy comes from. And in it you do. Of course you do. It's probably the main theme of the book. And in it you say, God can take every dart and arrow aimed your way, all the mocking and negative words spewed, and every struggle and pitfall pushing you to the edge, every battle you never asked for but are forced to fight. And in his strength, we become victorious. You never asked to become a national political hero, really, and yet that's what you became. And yet you have this gift from God, this gift to connect with the American people, to inspire. It is totally Reagan-esque, and it's extremely rare. How did God give you the courage to embrace those gifts instead of doing what sadly a lot of us would have done, and that is run in the other direction?
Well, thank you so much for that encouragement. Really, that means so much, Kate. I appreciate it. And yes, back in 2011, it was so wonderful to be here. I'll never forget it. It was one of the highlights of my career thus far, was being able to be here and get that sense of, and the spirit of Ronald Reagan being here, because he being my political hero my entire life. In fact, I was blessed to have come into being, if you will, politically speaking. My college years, high school and college years, were when President Reagan was in the White House. So I got to see how it's supposed to be done, you know, and be so encouraged by the real hope that he inspired in our nation and truly making America great. So I certainly benefited from that. But personally, I know that I am so fallible. I have so much weakness. I make mistakes all the time. But that's the secret, is in my weakness, I know that I can have strength that's omnipotent because it comes from God. And God invites us to ask for it, and he'll fill us up then. So when I was a little girl, I became a Christian at a summer Bible camp out in the wilderness of Alaska. And I remember looking around at the beautiful landscape, majestic mountains, clean waters, so gorgeous. And I knew then that the creator of all that, the creator who was obvious, you know, so omnipotent that this could be a part of my life, my surroundings, I knew that I'd be well off if I put my life in his hands and said, you know, the cracked vessel that I am and that we all are, use me if you can, Lord. Putting my life in his hands, and it's been pretty amazing since then. Peaks and valleys, of course, you know,
Right.
Quite a roller coaster ride. But knowing that it's okay to have weaknesses, to have those fallibilities, and to admit to them, and ask God to use them anyway, somehow turn them into something that can help other people. So that's what I always encourage other people to do. Give it a shot.
All right, well, I don't know exactly where this humility, you have such humility. And I have to say, I was in the green room once. We're not supposed to talk about what happens in the green room, but oh well. So we were at Fox News, and there was this stir that Sarah Palin was coming in. And I happened to be sitting there with one of the few liberals who works at Fox. I was a liberal host, and I have heard the things he says about Governor Palin. But Governor Palin was coming in, and he was knocking people over to get close to her because she has that ability to just, people want to be near you. You inspire people, and yet you stay humble. And so I've got teenagers, so I bet that has something to do with it. But how do you stay humble?
Who knows what that liberal wanted to actually do to me once he reached me, you know?
No,
Thank you for protecting me.
It's so funny. They love you.
You know what, though? You can go from hero to zero like
Yes.
that. Because ironically, I no longer work at Fox, do I? After having been there and having a great time, and I do respect the network and appreciate so much the conservative message that they're able to get out there for the rest of the public. But, you know, times change and I'm not there anymore. But any kind of humbleness, oh my goodness, my real world is, see, you saw a little page of my life that's
Right.
0.0000001% of my life. No, my real life it's a very busy family, kids who don't give a flying flip what I'm doing politically. They really don't. You know, they thought it was cool that I was on Saturday Night Live, a couple of them, and you know, that's about it. No, but thankfully my kids are sharp and they are conservative and very independent. So some of that has, you know, that's spilled over onto them. But the family keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
You know, especially my youngest, Trig. He is the one who has, what a gift that God gave our family with Trig, keeps everything in perspective for us. and lets us put our priorities straight, letting us know what really matters. That I thank God every day for the gift of Trig, being able to keep us humble.
Amen. Right. Well, the hero, from hero to zero, I loved. I zoned in on that in the book. No matter in politics, if you believe in anything whatsoever, you're going to go from hero to zero at some point in time. And what I was struck by during the whole presidential campaign, and of course since, has been the vigor with which you've been attacked. And I really do attribute that to the fact that you are a strong conservative woman, and you present a huge threat to the lie that only leftists can support women. And so when Sarah Palin is out there championing women, hardworking women, single moms, then that's a huge threat. And they've come after you with laser-like precision, attacking your family, which all of a sudden is fair game for you and nobody else. But that is an incredible discouragement for other women, particularly conservative women, women of faith, who want to become engaged in the political process. When they see what you went through and what they will necessarily go through, I just think it's a given. If we conservative women put ourselves out there, we're going to be attacked. And yet, you say we have a responsibility as Americans. We are the heirs of freedom, which I loved. Yep. So it's not a choice whether or not women, conservative women, women of faith get involved. How do you encourage anyone to get involved in the political process, but women in particular?
Yeah, how to encourage anyone to get in there. I mean, you're kind of in the belly of the beast. I have to admit, it does get pretty brutal at times because there's like a stronghold in the world of politics that's dark. And it's not of God, the bad parts of politics. So again, within my own strength, my own wisdom, my own abilities, I can't handle it. So I have to give it up to God. And thankfully, time and time again, He fills me up with peace and joy because I ask for it and I receive it. So I encourage others to do the same. But no, now more than ever is when everybody needs to get involved. Today, we're fighting for the future of America. This is the moment. And you need to be called upon to be great at this time and to be bold. If we lose our freedom, then like Reagan said, there's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to turn. We are that beacon of freedom for the rest of the world. If we don't fight for it, because freedom isn't free, if we don't fight for it and pay a price for it, then there is nowhere else to go. And it's not just Americans hoping for the best, all of you hoping for the best for this country, but it's other innocent people around the globe who do look to America, to Americans who are hardworking, patriotic, faith-filled, family-oriented, good Americans. They wish to emulate. They wish to understand the steps that we can take to be prosperous and successful and healthy and safe and secure. God blessed us with the resources and the abilities to do all of that, but He also then gave us a responsibility to make the most of it. So if we hunker down, if we're afraid of what somebody's going to say about us, then we're not doing our job. And by the way, those aren't just words that people spew at you. I remind my kids all the time, so what that somebody said something mean about you on the blog, well, don't read the blog or whatever it is, just get off your dang phone and then you don't have to be burdened by it. But we're told in the Bible that we will be persecuted. So buck up or stay in the truck. We know it's coming. And we just have to deal with it. We can't hunker down.
And in Sweet Freedom, you Reagan lovers will see that Governor Palin invokes the name of Ronald Reagan multiple times. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction, again and again. Tell us a little bit about Ronald Reagan and his importance. You mentioned a little bit in the beginning, and how was your experience at the ranch? We all knew that you went up there, but how has that impacted you?
Oh, that was that was life-changing. Always having been, as I said, a huge fan of Reagan, but then to actually see where he got to hang out, and he was so sincere, and he wasn't phony about being out there cutting brush and working hard and doing all those things that, we would see images of him on TV doing, and then to actually be there where he was actually doing that. Being on the horse trails where there was some overgrowth or something, and see, he used to be out there cutting that overgrowth, and not photo ops, but real. So that was just amazing. And the upkeep of Reagan's Ranch is so much appreciated by me and other Americans that you all are putting such effort into it's just epic. It's amazing. So it was so impacting, though, so beautiful being up there that I was privileged to be on a horse ride. Somebody snapped a picture, and we used the picture on the cover of my book, America by Heart, because it's my favorite picture in the world, and it's not because it's me in it. It's because it reflects Reagan, his life, what he stood for. So all-Americana, so beautiful, all about natural resources, all about that work ethic that he would just exude. And again, those things, those attributes, those virtues, those gifts and talents that Reagan was given, he did put those to such good use for all of us. So what he left us, we better not blow it. We had better protect what it is, but build upon what it is that he left us. He left us all these good examples of what it takes to succeed and to prosper and to be happy. And I think the same goes for those who serve in the military and our vets, whom Reagan so respected and honored as a true commander-in-chief, like you would want in a commander-in-chief. I think of all the sacrifices that he, as commander-in-chief, and those under him in the military, and those who have gone before, and those serving today, the sacrifices that they have made, we, again, need to be called upon to protect what it is that they have left us and not let their sacrifices go in vain. So with the military, with President Reagan, hopefully we can always use Reagan as our inspiration for that. And then on a personal note too, Reagan means a lot in my life, my kids' life. Willow has a dog named Wilson, Ronald Wilson Reagan.
Right. That's
She
great.
does. I was so proud of her too. I'm like, how many young gals even, they get it.
right.
She gets it that name your puppy Ronald Wilson Reagan. Kind of cool.
That is great. Ronald Reagan understood, like we at Young America's Foundation and the Reagan Ranch understand and all of you understand the importance of our college campuses and what is happening there right now. And Reagan made a point to reach out to college students, but I was struck when I read this passage in your book, Sweet Freedom, when you said, conservatives are accustomed to liberals seeking to control the conversation. When the liberal argument cannot withstand debate, they try to silence offensive, which is anything you and I believe, offensive speech, and attempt to make you exchange your freedom of speech for your comfort.
Right.
This is exactly what we are seeing explode right now. It's been happening for decades, by the way, but it's exploding on our college campuses right now. Now, we have college students in this room. We have them next door in the overflow room. We have them watching the live streaming. They're watching on C-SPAN. Tell us, how can we help inspire these young people? Because they face real consequences on campuses for standing up for what they believe in. They're shipped off to sensitivity training classes. They suffer in their grades. They get persecuted by administrators. There are real consequences, and yet we are training them through Young America's Foundation to have the courage to stand up for freedom. You are the best example of having that courage, but please encourage these young people. Tell them how God can give them that encouragement.
Absolutely. He is our courage. He is our strength. The Holy Spirit fills us up with that. Again, all we have to do is ask, and He'll fill up our cup to overflowing. But you know better than anyone else because you're out there speaking on these campuses, and you're on the front lines. You're seeing what's going on. I think it's very tragic what is going on our campuses today. And if any of you are parents of kids soon to enter college, think very wisely before you write any kind of check back for tuition to these schools, especially, who are being known for, now more than ever, their intolerance is what it is. They do not tolerate conservative views, and they do take it out on the student who would be bold enough to stand strong on truth, on time-tested truths. I hear so often in that vein about parents who are writing the checks for their kids, and first I say, why are parents having to pay for their kids' what about us who, it took 5 years to get a 4-year degree, but that's because you work full time in order to take, doesn't that happen anymore? Don't because, not to change the subject, but now we're hearing, the college students need a bailout. They need government. They need you to pay for the debt that they have incurred to go to school. That's just BS, and that's the last thing that a college student needs to hear, that somebody's going to come bail them out. So, and man, I had some lowly jobs getting through school, but I was able to graduate with zero debt, and I'm happy for it. In fact, all my siblings did the same. But no, the college kids, they're my inspiration. The young people are my inspiration. I see, okay, that's hope. That they are hope. The courage that they already have, right? Their willingness. The kids, I say that with all due respect, the kids, the younger generation, even being here today, really gives us hope, because there's, in these tumultuous times, it's a worried world. So many bad things are going on. And a lot of people, I meet these people every day. I hear from people every day saying, they're kind of losing hope. And gosh, has America strayed so far from our Judeo-Christian beliefs and our foundation? Can we ever get it back? And this despondency that I hear and I sense out there, I say, no, look at the young people, those who are still willing to enlist in the United States military, who can make the sacrifices for us in the military, those who can stand strong amidst this liberal atmosphere that is very, very oppressive on our college campuses. Look to them for inspiration, for hope. So you don't let us down, you all. Don't let us down. You got to be even stronger. You do. And it's a shame that pop culture would try to caricaturize a conservative college student as being the one that intolerant and not smart enough to know what's going on in the world, because they don't, they're not following in somebody's liberal footsteps. We can infiltrate and we can influence pop culture too to change that. We can't give up on pop culture, because politics is downstream from pop culture. So we need to not just leave it to the left to be in charge of kind of dictating what our pop culture is going to be about. You who are talented in the arts, writers, actors, musicians, get in there in pop culture. Use those gifts that God has given you for good. Don't just leave it to the left, to the liberals, to take over that most influential aspect of our society, pop culture. And of course, pop culture being so instrumental in the shaping of a college student's mind.
Right. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. We have a president who cannot utter the words radical Islam. And as a result, I think he's endangering our country. I think he's endangering human beings by not calling it what it is. And you talk about it in Sweet Freedom on several occasions, and I so appreciate your courage in doing that. How do we Christians articulate the very real threat of radical Islam? I think we must articulate it. Yes. But how do we do that and not play into that liberal narrative that we are closed-minded, intolerant, that we are targeting certain groups of people, and that we're warmongers?
Right. So when we are slapped with that label of being warmongers or racist or Islamophobic and all that, you peel that label off your forehead, that thing that they want to stick you with. You don't let them define you. And it is quite perplexing that we do have a president, a commander-in-chief, who cannot recognize the enemy, who thinks that changing the weather is more important than what we're facing with terrorism, with radical Islamic fundamentalists. he so underestimates the wisdom of the people. The people here, the majority of Americans, we don't have a problem with seeing what's out there and understanding such a threat that's coming our way. And it's why George Bush was so right when President Bush said, we're going to get the bad guys over there so they don't come over here. Well, look what's happening. We pulled out over there. We left these vacuums that have been filled now with even more powerful Islamic fundamentalists, and they are coming over here. So, yeah, well, 2016 can't come soon enough. And to be able to elect a commander-in-chief, and that's how we should look at this election, too. Not just someone who's going to be able to handle the economy, which is a whole other story, what a mess we have there. And not just someone who will, deal with so many of the specific issues that are challenging America. But look at it as who is going to be our commander-in-chief who understands what it is that we're facing in terms of that, who can actually respect the United States military, let them do their job. We can utterly and forever destroy ISIS. We have the manpower, the firepower. We have the will with the boots that are ready to go and do what we need, the political will from on top. And until we get a commander-in-chief, by the way, we're hearing now that Obama lied, saying he would not have boots on the ground and other parts of the world now to deal with these threats. Well, now, yeah, we have boots on the ground. I think that's a pretty scary thing because under this commander-in-chief, and I have a son who has served and been deployed a couple of times, I think, now, can we hang in there? Can we wait until we have a new commander-in-chief? And then we utterly and we finally destroy ISIS instead of letting them come on over here, infiltrate the innocence that is America. We haven't done anything wrong to deserve what it is that they want to do to us. Paris didn't do anything wrong in asking for them to come on over and try to destroy them either. Israel does nothing wrong when they're hearing anyway that ISIS and the Muslim fundamentalists want to destroy them too. And that's why I consider us, relatively speaking, as the innocents. And no, we have the ability to destroy the threat that is against us. We just need a commander-in-chief who knows how to yell fire.
Right, amen. Okay, I also like that in Sweet Freedom, you don't pull any punches when it comes to talking to us, to Christians. You point out that we can't be hypocrites. You talk about some of the silliness of rigidity and legalism and that sort of thing. But you really do point out that it's you and me, those of us here, those of us across the country who love liberty. We need to be a little bit more enthusiastic about that. We just heard the shootings that happened this week in California. There were neighbors who saw comings and goings and were alarmed by it, but they were silent because they were afraid of the label. Not afraid of what would happen, the consequences of what was going on, but afraid that they would be called a name. And I think so often well-intentioned Christians hide from the news. They don't share with their children about what's going on in the world to try to protect them. They're afraid of being called names. And yet you say in Sweet Freedom that, again, we are heirs of freedom, that our forefathers sacrificed for us, and we have a responsibility to stand up for that sacrifice. And you put it beautifully when you said, rise up. No more hunkering down, shirking civic responsibilities by being so concerned with the kingdom of heaven that you neglect your duties down here on earth. And I think that is so true. What will the devastating consequences to freedom be if freedom-loving Americans continue to shirk their responsibilities?
Then there will be no freedom on earth. As I said, as Reagan would say, as he did say, the beacon of hope that is America, that light for the rest of the world to see what freedom brings you. This is God-given freedom that we have. We didn't do it ourselves. God gave this to us. So it's in service to our Lord that we would defend the gift that he has given us with freedom. But I thank you for the compliment that I wrote that beautifully, because there's some things in there that I didn't write so beautifully when I call out pastors. And I say, quit being so chicken, some of you pastors. When you're this milquetoast, namby-pamby, vanilla type of sermon, just it's kind of the kumbaya stuff, trying to get along to go along, when the people are craving truth. And from the pulpit, especially, they so far, they've got the freedom to speak truth. Certainly, government liberals would like to shut down their freedom too on these attacks on our religion, but they're free to tell us the truth, and they have a responsibility as shepherds to tell us the truth. So to quit being so milquetoast about it. And then that I think part of the problem, though, where many perhaps have become kind of that middle of the road, trying to get along with everybody, instead of just calling it like they see it and calling it like the Word tells us, is do you ever find it a little bit odd that the depictions of Jesus that we see, this long, beautiful, flowing hair and his robes and his flip-flops and, playing hacky-sack on the beach with the disciples and, he's just kind of going like that. Well, maybe they believe that is the persona of Jesus, and being a Christian, that means to be Christ-like. So, okay, we're supposed to be like, Jesus was a warrior. He was a fighter for justice, even physically. Remember, he went into the temple, overturned the money changers because they were ripping people off. He stood for justice and for the innocent. He even told his disciples, I think Jesus was a proponent of open carry, because Jesus, he told his disciples, Luke 22:36, he said, hey, we're going on a journey. Pick up your arms. Back in the day, the arms, that'd be a sword. He said, if you have a cloak, but you don't have, sell your cloak and go out and buy your sword, and let's go. Let's go forth and let's conquer and defend yourself. Don't rely on others to do it. We can't rely on government to do it for us. We are to be self-sufficient in that respect. Not so self-sufficient that we wouldn't rely on God's strength, of course, but we're expected to take action to defend freedom and to fight for justice and to defend the innocent. God has given us the ability to do so. And when he doesn't drive parked cars, he expects us to get out there and take action and move forward with those things that he has instilled us with. And there's much that we can do to be involved and not think that we need to hunker down and not kind of allow our pastors to get away with that namby-pamby preaching. What you can tell your pastor, too, is, hey, we got your back. I try to tell that to the Republicans in Congress is, don't, campaign one way and then get in there and govern another way. We've seen too many of our even Tea Party friends kind of go that route, and that is so disappointing. So when I get to talk to them, I say, trust me, you have our respect. We'll have your back. The more you strengthen your spine, the more then that we all can strengthen our spine. We're going to follow you, and just to be able to encourage them, encourage our leaders in the church to, now more than ever, speak truth and act on it.
Right. This is a devotional. Sweet Freedom is a devotional. It's every day you read, and you have a Bible verse, and then you have a call to action, a freedom call to action. So in it, I got that it's not just about, your point is restoration of America, of all that is good, sweet, and true, and right about America. It has to do with personal transformation, but it also has to do with living out our faith and acting out what we believe. And I think I'd like to hear what you say about why is that important that we be in the Word every day, that we do a devotional every day. And then what's the connection between that personal transformation and what's going to happen in our world?
Yeah, well, the Lord says, hide the Word in our heart and it will never depart from us, meaning we'll always be able to call on that wisdom that is so prevalent, obviously, in the Old and New Testament. And I wrote the book in layman's terms. So much so that even I can understand what it is that I'd pick a verse, I'd write a little bit of commentary about it, and much of the commentary at the end of the day ended up being my admittance to a lot of things that I haven't done right, so hopefully people can learn from my mistakes. Never setting myself up or my family up as holier than thou. That's my pet peeve about Christians, by the way, is it whenever they come across as being holier than thou, because no, we're all a mess. We're all in the same boat. But writing the devotion with that commentary, and then as you point out, Kate, that call to action, writing it for not just church folk,
right.
but my own family is very, very diverse. I wrote a page in here about that. My surroundings up in Alaska. You know, I'm with commercial fishermen every day who cuss like sailors and tatted up soldiers who have no patience for political correctness, and you know, the truck drivers and the Carhartts and steel-toed boots, hard-working, normal people out there. And they, some of them, they're CEOs, it's meaning church on Christmas and Easter only, CEOs. And bless their hearts, though, they have the right intentions and they do have faith. They just want to know where can they go to get some answers, because the things that we're doing right now to address the challenges that we see in our country, and even personally, because we're all fighting a battle, we all have huge challenges, but to not lose that hope and that faith, they want to know, what can we do? Because what we're doing isn't working right now, relying on government and the next great politician and great public policy, the next trend in pop culture. None of that stuff's working for us. The trajectory that we are on is not going up, it's going down. So how do we restore, and how do we turn some things around? It's like, amazingly, in the Old and New Testament, the answers, specific answers for what it is that we face today, it's all written in there. So I just wanted to kind of create this guideline to let people know, you go there. And if you don't like it, don't take it up with God. He's the one who wrote the verse, you know. He's the one who inspired the written words. And I just kind of comment about it according to, you know, my own life experience. But yeah, it's written in that way so that anybody should be able to understand and take something from it. But another secret, though, is that as you open it, as you read a page, you do have to ask for God to open your eyes, open your ears, your heart, your soul, your mind to what it is that He's going to tell you to apply based on what it is that you read. And, you know, He never fails you there either. He'll even, you know, right then, that day, something will pop up where you're like, oh, man, yeah, I'm glad that I have that promise, that verse, that parable to look to for an example. I'm glad that I have an answer, and it came from His Word.
Well, I found it incredibly inspiring, and I thought it is real, just like you. It is real, and that was one of the best parts about it, I think. All right, I could ask 100 more questions and monopolize this entire event. I'd be thrilled to, but Andrew says I can't. So I would like to ask for some questions from the audience, and we'll have some folks up here with microphones. So just raise your hand high, and we will get some questions to
Be sure
you.
to speak in the mic.
Yes.
Hi, thank you
Stand
both.
up.
Oh,
If you're a student, tell us where you're from, what school you went to.
I'm Lacey Gonzalez, and I'm at City College here in Santa Barbara. And I was just wondering, a lot of times on campus we face this moral relativism, and I know that we're called to cling to absolute truths. And how would you combat this bias, and how do we do that like gracefully?
Well, you know, Lacey, there's power in numbers, and when you don't forget the fact that there are more of us than there are of them. And I mean, not necessarily, you know, spirit-filled, hardcore, went to church Sunday morning, Wednesday night, and youth service Christians. I'm talking about people with just some common sense and those who do have some kind of sense of faith. There are more of us than there are of them. So just kind of capitalizing on that power, that strength in numbers, you can always rely on that. But the most important thing is to be bold. You have to be bold. And think of the situations that you find yourself in when the surroundings there at school are what you know they're wrong, you know, and you know that you're going to be slapped with some kind of negative label if you call them out on being wrong. But if you don't do it, who will? If you, as we talked a little bit about before, if you shy away from it, if you hunker down, You have to ask yourself, well, if I don't stand strong and speak truth and know what I'm talking about, so you have to do your homework, you have to understand what the issues are so that you can combat back with facts and figures. If you don't do it, it's not going to get done. So encourage one another to do it. And again, don't forget that there is power and strength in numbers. We got the numbers on our side.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Mark Preiser, and I'm not a student, but I'm a Boilermaker.
I love it.
So my question is, your focus was on Commander-in-Chief, so which one of the candidates would you point to for that?
My person will be, and the old political answer is there's still a lot of time, and there really is a lot of time and many debates coming up here for us to be able to really figure out what the intention is of each of these candidates and what their track record proves that they're able to accomplish. My candidate, though, will be someone who hasn't been a part of the problem and hasn't promised us a whole lot of things in campaigns and had us, you, a whole lot of us working really hard to get him elected, and then have that bubble deflated when they got into office and they started voting for the debt ceiling increases and they started voting for the engorged budgets, all because, that's what our leadership in our party was telling us we had to do, otherwise things are going to get shut down. And I'm not looking for that type of, we've tried that. That's status quo, and status quo has got to go. That's what's caused the problem. So my candidate will be, no doubt, an outsider. And there's even one or two, though, running, I consider as outsiders, though, despite having a label, a name tag, an office in Washington, D.C. They're still maverick enough that they are bucking the tide even within their own party to do the right thing for the people. So, I'm ratcheting it down to a few, but definitely it's going to be somebody who will hold no punches and in a debate against Hillary, because it will be Hillary on the other side. The skids are greased for Hillary. All this, all this speculation that, they've had this competitive primary and it's going to reveal some kind of surprise. No, it's orchestrated and it's going to be Hillary. So whomever it is who will be the fighter on stage in debate against Hillary and not care that they are going to have the sexist label slapped on them, right? Well, whoever can just say, I don't care, call me, I know the truth. So, and then whomever it will end up being has got to be the person who will, Obama promised us that he would fundamentally transform America. It will be the person who will know how to fundamentally restore America, those virtues, those attributes that you said would have to be.
This one back there.
Thank you. Hi, so my name is Haley Smith, and I go to Modesto Junior College up in the San Joaquin Valley. And I was recently at a speech and debate tournament, and I was told by a professor that was judging in this round that I was in that I needed to watch my rhetoric, and that I was both a racist and a proponent of rape culture, which was odd because he was in his early 30s, a man telling me this.
Wow.
But I just wonder, what would you say to a conservative Christian woman? How would you respond to such comments like that?
Wow. Can you imagine if the reverse were,
Right.
if it were a conservative professor who was up there telling some liberal, hey, you sound whatever, that guy would be fired. He would never have his job. How did you respond?
I think I was a little shocked.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to say back to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Of
I
course.
just kind of didn't say anything.
Of course.
Shocked by what he
I'd be shocked too, and that's why I don't know how to answer you. It's shocking. I don't know. You could always say, that you're really, really sorry that you have to write his salary check, with your tuition. That's really sad that you have to do that. I don't know, just with a smile on your face, just rub it in, man. Just keep doing what you're doing because you're right. You're right. He really has no right, though, to do that to you as a student, as a young woman. He has no right to do that. Granted, we have our military men and women sacrificing their life so that he does have the right to do so. But what a disrespectful thing that man put you through. I think he, for shame. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but stay strong. And look at you. You're still happy. You still have a good attitude, and that's inspiration.
I think we can take one final question.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for coming. My name is Don Bartholomew. I'm a professor at Santa Barbara City College. I'm one of 6 conservatives on campus. My question is, as a woman who's ran for public office before, what advice would you give to Carly Fiorina?
I've been kind of waiting for her to really bust out and, be so candid and not canned or anything, but be so candid and really tell us what she's thinking about a lot of these issues. And that hasn't really happened yet. So I would, for what it's worth, my advice, I would encourage her to not let any high-priced consultants who try to run your campaign for you mold and meld you into something that's politically correct and kind of middle of the road on some issues. No, we want that candidness. We need that candidness. Tell us what you really think. And I think that's kind of what's been lacking in her campaign. And I say this because I've gone through the same thing after having years now run in local office, state office, then on a national level. Before running on a national level, I always got to run my own campaign, literally in my own living room, licking the stamps and out knocking on doors. And so I never had anybody telling me what I should or shouldn't say, and that was sweet freedom, man. That was great, and I won all those races, so it was, it meant something. And then lo and behold, I get on a national level. We didn't win that one, did we? When someone tried to tell me and us what to do and what to say, and trying to judge an audience, and then you got to shape your message so that is received by that audience. Oh, that did a lot of good, didn't it? It came in second out of 2. That's pretty lousy. So with Carly too, with all of them, that's why Donald Trump is so popular. Not only because he does have practical solutions to. Pretty practical to say you build a wall, a fence, right? And that keeps illegal immigrants out. All these common sense things that he wants to. But what really shot him to the forefront, right, was his candidness. And that should inspire the other candidates, hopefully it does, to be even less guarded. Not let a filter come between you and the people whom you are willing and wanting to serve. Trump's been a good example with that, and hopefully Carly will do the same.
All right. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of, I know Andrew's going to thank you for the foundation, but personally, as a conservative woman like you all, these other women, and you conservative young people, and those who are out there trying to fight the fight, this was incredibly inspiring for me. And I think as a nation, I think our presidential candidates better read it, but I think it's an important book right now for our country. I think we are at a turning point, and either we are going to dig deep and have the courage to stand up and accept the title of heirs of freedom, or we're going to hand freedom away. And that's what this book is all about. God bless you for writing it, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you. You are awesome. And I wish you were on Fox even more. I do. You're good. Thank you. Bless you. So nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
the standing ovation was more than appropriate, but I'm going to ask you to take your seats again for just a moment longer. Did our friends in the overflow room enjoy the program? It's always, yeah, I thought so. That's always fun. I do want to thank you both for being here. Governor, it's awkward to stand back behind you here, but I need a microphone, so I'm here. Since you mentioned the book cover, I do have to say that is one of my few claims to fame, perhaps my only claim to fame, is that, of course, the great John Barletta was leading the ride that day at the ranch, and I was on horseback behind you, and so in that photograph, my left shoulder made the cover of the book. Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry we cropped that out.
Well, I was just happy that my left shoulder made it. My left shoulder is available for autograph signings and speaking
I think
engagements.
his watch
but,
maybe is showing. Something.
No, it is an honor to have you with us again. Thank you for this wonderful book, for your willingness to share your faith and your heart with us and with the country. And thank you both, the Governor and Kate, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Really a privilege to have you with us. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be concluding our 2015 Reagan Ranch Roundtable Series this evening with a special dinner featuring Congressman Salmon. He will be discussing foreign policy challenges in the 21st century. There's never been a more important time to hear that message, and I know you will want to hear what he has to say. Many of you I know are planning to join us this evening. If you are not signed up, I think we do still have a few seats available. Talk to me or one of my colleagues about that if you would like us to see if we can fit you in this evening. We would love to have you back here with us at 5:30 for the reception and 6:30 for dinner. The governor has an important engagement ahead of her down, I think, in Orange County, and we all know what Friday traffic is like heading that direction. So I'm going to ask your help in getting her out of the building efficiently. So if you all wouldn't mind remaining in your seats, Kate and the governor are going to exit ahead of us. You can give her another applause, ovation on the way out. But then thank you all for being with us. All right, well, thank you again. Merry Christmas, and we hope to see you later this evening.